Yeah, today we got another video. Today we got Who Killed Pimp C? Like, comment, subscribe, got 100K, 1 mil.
It's bigger than just Pimp C, and there's a lot of mysterious celebrities, a lot of mysterious celebrity death in hotel rooms.
So,
Mac Miller.
tell me about Buddy. Can you?
Buddy the nigga who killed my cousin.
Because he was pulling people together. They killed my brother because he was pulling people together.
It's been almost 2 decades since the tragic passing of Chad Butler, better known as Pimp C, one half of the iconic rap duo Underground Kings, UGK. Alongside his partner Bun B, Pimp C made a massive impact on Southern rap. However, his sudden death in early December 2007 still leaves many unanswered questions. Could there have been more to his death than we've been told? Could this be a bigger story than we know?
I have this theory that's bigger than just Pimp C, and there's a lot of mysterious celebrities, a lot of mysterious celebrity death in hotel rooms.
Pimp C was staying at the Mondrian Hotel in West Hollywood, California.
Don't stay there.
He was in town working on new music and had even been performing with Too Short. On the morning of December 4th, 2007, he was supposed to fly back home. His wife, Chinara, along with his cousin Ed, were waiting at the airport to pick him up, but he never made it back.
At this hour, members of the hip-hop community are mourning the shocking death of well-known Port Arthur rapper Pimp C.
When they didn't hear from him that morning, Chinara called the hotel and asked them to check on him. That's when the hotel staff found Pimp C unresponsive in his room, and sadly, paramedics pronounced him dead shortly after. He was just 33 years old.
It is news that has shocked and saddened Houston's hip-hop community.
Pimp C at the age of 33 was found dead in his hotel room.
The coroner's report ruled his death as accidental, pointing to his heavy usage of lean, a mixture of codeine and promethazine, combined with his sleep apnea as the cause. Like many Southern rappers, Pimp C often mentioned lean in his music.
It's a pharmaceutical. You get promethazine with codeine cough syrup, and you mix it in your favorite flavored soda.
But since his death, a lot of people have questioned this narrative, suggesting something more sinister might have happened.
Like, what happened? And all I get back is, well, he was in his room by himself and they found him. I'm like, was the door, did it have that thing on it? Like, was it the lock? Like, tell me something. I never really heard something that would give that closure for me. I never really heard anything tangible or true, like what happened to my guy.
There are those who believe Pimp C was actually murdered by a man named Larry Adams, also known as Buddy. According to Pimp C's cousin, Pimp C was poisoned.
So, tell me about Buddy. Can you?
Buddy the nigga who killed my cousin.
The story goes that a bunch of people were hanging out in Pimp C's hotel room. At some point, Pimp C went to the restroom, and Buddy allegedly told everyone in the room to stay quiet because he wanted to play a prank on Pimp C. He supposedly put something in Pimp C's drink, and when Pimp C...
What's crazy is that his wife parked the Bentley in the no parking zone after they left the airport. That's why she wasn't with them, supposedly.
Came back and took a sip. He almost immediately started throwing up blood.
So C went to the restroom, and Buddy said, look, y'all don't say nothing, I'm gonna play a joke on Pimp. And he poured something into his drink. When he came back from the restroom, he started drinking it and almost immediately started throwing up blood.
What really convinced Pimp C's cousin that something was fishy was what he found when he went to the hotel to pack up Pimp C's belongings. When he pulled back the covers on the bed, he saw blood stains.
I packed C bags after he passed.
From that same hotel?
From that same hotel. I pulled back the cover of the bed and there was blood in the bed.
Additionally, Buddy had been going around Jackson, Mississippi, bragging about what he had done to Pimp C, according to the cousin.
You and I said that you had heard the same thing, that he was going around bragging.
Yep.
That he had done this.
Yep.
What?
Yes, in the streets of Jackson.
Pimp C's mother also believed her son was murdered. She wanted
his wife ends up marrying Buddy.
To raise enough money to have Pimp C's body exhumed for further investigation, but sadly passed away before she could do so.
Mama died saying my baby was poisoned with cyanide. Her wish was to raise up enough money to have the body Exhumed.
Author Julia Beverly, who wrote Pimp C's biography, Sweet Jones, Pimp C's Trill Life Story, also supported this theory. She said Pimp C's mother was convinced her son's death was no accident and that he was murdered.
A lot of people, they still don't quite want to believe how he passed, what was going on with that. I mean, were you able to delve into that and figure out what was going on when he passed?
Yeah, there's a well, his
crazy story.
Mom believes he was
Really crazy
murdered.
story.
Adding to the intrigue, some conspiracy theorists claim the media used the story of an overdose as a cover-up, suggesting that Pimp C was murdered because he was trying to expose certain individuals during an interview conducted just days before his death.
Oh shit.
Cool, but be gay and come on out and be that. Don't be in front of us and act like a straight up G, and then you get over here and you letting these boy bust up your back.
Did he? Jay-Z?
What really happened to Pimp C? Let's dive deeper into the details. So, there's really no such thing as a death that feels expected, but Pimp C's passing hit particularly
If I die, you know what happened.
hard, especially since it happened during such a pivotal moment in his career. He died just months after he and Bun B had teamed up with Outkast for the hit International Players Anthem, I Choose You, which turned out to be UGK's biggest commercial success and one of the greatest rap songs ever made. Now let's talk about Larry Franklin Adams, aka Buddy. Born in 1983 in Jackson, Mississippi, Larry eventually made his way to Fresno, California, where he became a well-known player in the game. It wasn't long before Larry and Pimp C crossed paths and started building a relationship. According to people in Pimp's circle, Larry would often show up at Pimp's out-of-town shows, getting closer and closer to him over time.
Who was a guy named Buddy?
Man named Larry.
Okay.
We called him L.A.
We had been toning down the content of certain things in the music lately. My new album, of course, probably won't have any references to cough syrup in it.
Larry even invested a whopping $100,000 into UGK.
I'm not sure the total amount.
He said that on the phone.
He gave C like $100K.
Fast forward to 2007, Pimp was in LA finalizing a huge publishing deal worth 8 figures. But behind the scenes, something sinister was brewing, and Pimp's hotel room would be the scene of his untimely death. According to rumors, Pimp's wife Chynara might have had a hand in his death. One major red flag was that Pimp's cousin, who usually traveled with him, didn't make this trip. Apparently, Chynara told Pimp that his cousin was busy with work, so Pimp didn't arrange for him to come along.
I thought you had to work. This is why they was already gone. Like, nah, where you get that from? Well, Shannara told C you had to work, so you couldn't go on the trip.
Wait a minute. Wait a minute.
Whoa. Hold up.
So, by her telling him I couldn't go, stopped me from going.
Here's where things get shady. On the night of his death, Pimp was left alone in his hotel room with 3 people. Chynara, who was there at the time, left the room claiming she needed to move Pimp's Bentley to prevent it from being towed, despite the car being in a completely different state. Not long after she left,
and she was in LA.
Pimp was allegedly poisoned and tragically lost his life.
You got the extra key, go move the car. Instead of me moving the car, she flew back to move the car, which left him
alone.
That bothered me for a long time, too.
Adding fuel to the fire, there were rumors that Chynara started an affair with Larry not long after Pimp's death, and even ended up marrying him.
Is it true that Pimp C's wife married a man named Buddy?
Damn.
Same Buddy?
Damn.
Furthermore, there were allegations that she misused Pimp C's funds after his passing, leading to her removal as the administrator of his estate.
Dude, that's so weird. And then she spent all his money.
2016, a Texas judge removed Chynara as the estate administrator after Pimp C's son raised concerns about how his father's finances were being handled. An attorney for Chad Butler Jr., Pimp C's oldest son, revealed to the judge that their father's home in Port Arthur was facing foreclosure. Expensive jewelry was missing, and various bills had gone unpaid. At the court hearing, Josh Hines, an attorney for Chad Butler, presented financial documents showing that Chynara had spent $150,000 of the estate's revenue between 2011 and 2013 and over $80,000 in the recent years. Public records also showed that the estate had a $7.2 million federal tax lien and owed $5.1 million to a former manager. Nobody's gotten any money, said Hines. She's on red carpets in Los Angeles and New York, and these kids have nothing. Now, whether these rumors hold any truth or not, it's wild to think about. But let's take a moment to dive into the life of Chad Lamont Butler, known to the world as Pimp C, whose life was supposedly taken away far too soon. Chad was born on December 29, 1973, in Crowley, Louisiana, arriving prematurely as the first and only child of Charleston and Weslyn Butler. Shortly after his birth, the young family moved to Port Arthur, Texas, which Chad would come to consider his true home. Due to his premature birth, Chad faced numerous health challenges growing up. He had a birth defect that caused his legs to point inward, suffered from digestive problems, had poor eyesight, and endured several bouts of pneumonia as a child. Music was always a central part of Chad's life. His father was a trumpet player who once performed with Solomon Burke, so their home was filled with the sounds of jazz, blues, and soul. Some of Chad's earliest musical influences included legends like B.B. King, Ray Charles, Jimmy Smith, Jimmy McGriff, and Marvin Gaye. Inspired by these greats, Chad began learning various instruments by ear, including the piano, trumpet, drums, and flugelhorn, long before he learned to read musical notation. When Chad was just 6 years old, his parents separated. His mother, Weslyn, later married Norwood Monroe, a band teacher. Fortunately, Norwood's presence didn't create any tension. In fact, he and Chad bonded over their shared passion for music, with Norwood teaching Chad how to read music. In 1983, Chad had his first taste of rap music when a friend lent him an early Run DMC album. He was instantly hooked. Even at the age of 10, Chad started educating himself about the origins of rap, learning everything he could about this new genre that had captivated his imagination. Although his interest in rap was growing, he continued to pursue a more traditional musical path. As a teenager, he joined the choir, played numerous instruments at school, and even received a Division I rating for a tenor solo at a UIL choir competition. Despite his traditional musical pursuits, Chad's passion for hip-hop began to take over, encouraged by his stepfather, who influenced him to incorporate more musical instruments into his sound. Chad started writing and creating his own music. While still in high school, Chad began collaborating with fellow musicians including Mitchell Queen, Bernard Bun B. Freeman, and Jaylon Jackson. Eventually, Chad and Bun B formed a rap duo, calling themselves UGK, short for Underground Kings.
When Pimp and I first became rap partners, we were not technically in a group together. We were part of a collective of people. So Pimp was already in a group with another person, Mitchell Queen. And that was actually, they were called the Underground Kings.
The moderate local success UGK enjoyed helped them generate enough buzz to land a deal with Jive Records in the same year. With a major label behind them, the future for UGK seemed brighter than ever. All they needed now was a strong debut album. On November 10, 1992, UGK dropped their major label debut, Too Hard to Swallow. The album hit number 37 on the US top R&B/hip-hop albums chart and received generally positive reviews. Singles like Tell Me Something Good and Pocketful of Stones garnered significant attention, with Pocketful of Stones even featuring on the soundtrack of the movie Menace to Society, giving the group a taste of national exposure. Though it didn't reach the Billboard Hot 100, Too Hard to Swallow solidified UGK as a rising force in the rap game. With their second album on the horizon, anticipation was building. 2 years later, on August 30th, 1994, UGK released Super Tight. This time, the album broke into the Billboard 200, landing at number 95. It was a great commercial success. The single From The Back gained popularity similar to Pocketful of Stones, continuing to put UGK on the map. Following their Billboard debut, UGK continued to move forward, and after 2 more years, the duo released their third and most successful album at the time, Ridin' Dirty. The album soared to number 15 on the Billboard 200 and received widespread critical acclaim. Pimp C's production skills and Bun B's unmatched lyrical flow were highly praised. Despite having no official singles or music videos, the album became their biggest commercial success to date, selling 70,000 copies in its first week alone. Its popularity and influence quickly earned it a place as one of the most influential albums in Southern hip-hop, especially in the Houston scene. After breaking into the mainstream, the duo decided to take some well-earned time off. Instead of working on their next album, they took a different approach. Over the next 5 years, UGK appeared on several tracks as featured artists and released a couple of singles in 1999, which would later be used on their upcoming album. However, there was no sign of its release. It's hard to say whether it was their decision to hold back the album, as rumors suggested they had intended to release it well before its original date, with advertisements for it appearing on some Jive Records albums as early as 1998. During those 5 years, UGK continued to perform countless shows across the country, participate in multiple interviews, and collaborate with some of the biggest rappers of the time, including Scarface, C Murder, Master P, Outkast, Ludacris, and many more. Their streak of success didn't end there. In 2000, UGK appeared on 2 mega singles, Big Pimpin' by Jay-Z, that their next album, that he would pull out the gun. A detail also confirmed into an argument after alleged December for their next album. Pimp C ran into serious trouble back in Houston. On December 16, 2000, Chad was arrested at Houston's Sharpstown Mall after allegedly holding a woman at gunpoint and threatening to shoot her following a confrontation in a shoe store. The story goes that Butler and a woman named Lakitha Hullett got into an argument in the store. Hullett claimed that Chad pushed a gun into her side and threatened her, saying, "I'll shoot you." Chad, however, insisted that he only lifted his jacket to show the gun but never removed it from his waistband, while a couple of Hullett's friends backed her story in the police report. One of them admitted she never saw Chad actually pull out the gun, a detail also confirmed by a store clerk. This clerk stated that Chad remained calm and that Lakitha was the one causing trouble. He suggested that if Lakitha hadn't jumped on Chad, the incident might never have escalated. Following the confrontation, Pimp C attempted to leave the mall and get into his car. However, he was surrounded by numerous officers who instructed him to surrender. Chad ignored their orders, leading the officers to slam him to the ground so hard that they nearly knocked him unconscious. He was taken to Houston Central Jail and charged with aggravated assault with a deadly weapon. The next morning, he posted bail of $10,000 and was initially sentenced to probation after pleading no contest and admitting to having a gun at the scene a few months later. With his legal troubles temporarily sorted out, UGK began planning their comeback. After a long 5 years, Chad and Bun B managed to gather enough momentum for Jive Records to finally greenlight their 4th studio album. On November 15, 2001, UGK released Dirty Money. Despite being released with little to no advertising, it debuted at number 19 on the Billboard 200, selling 98,000 copies in its first week. However, while the group had garnered significant attention over the previous 5 years, the album didn't perform as well as Jive Records had hoped. It peaked lower compared to their previous album and sold 250,000 fewer copies.
Houston, they for sure ran into Jay Prince.
Even though UGK's popularity had doubled, Jive Records considered it a failure, unable to capitalize on the newfound interest in the group. Despite this, Dirty Money still received a lot of love from fans and the hip-hop community. As UGK's comeback was starting to take shape, more legal troubles followed. Only 2 months after Dirty Money was released, Pimp C found himself back in prison. He had repeatedly failed to report to his probation officer, didn't keep up with his community service hours, refused to pay outstanding fees, and tested positive for weed twice. His trial began on August 5th, 2002. Despite conflicting statements, with so many probation violations and pleading guilty to the Sharpstown Mall incident, the facts of what had actually happened were deemed irrelevant. The real question was no longer whether he committed a crime, but how long he should be punished for it. Mama Wes, Pimp C's mother, recalled that day as the biggest mockery of justice. Pimp C's lawyer made matters worse by portraying him as a drug addict struggling with mental health problems and experiencing manic states from depression. The trial didn't last long, and by 9:50 a.m., the judge sentenced Chad Butler, aka Pimp C, to 8 years in prison.
Pimp C recorded a long list of albums. Until 2001, Pimp C, aka Chad Butler, was arrested. UGK rapped about the prison system. Is it different?
That's ironic. That's ironic, isn't it?
Yeah.
His arrest and sentencing sparked outrage in the hip-hop community, leading to a widespread Free Pimp C campaign initiated by Bun B and many others. With Pimp C in prison, UGK was once again forced to go on hiatus, and both members pursued solo careers. While incarcerated, Chad married his wife Sonara and tried to make the best of his situation by reading the tons of letters sent to him each week from fans. After serving 2.5 years, Pimp C released his solo debut album, Sweet James Jones Stories. On July 11, 2006, Pimp C released Pimpilation, which featured numerous guest appearances from prominent rappers.
So the legendary Pimp C, you know, from UGK. Of course, he's not here anymore. I remember when UGK first came out.
Who killed Pimp C?
You ever see these niggas in the street, man? You know what I'm saying? We be out in the open, man. We ain't hiding, because we ain't over nobody and stole nobody money, man. Nigga, doing everything you stand for.
If you gay, that's cool, but be gay and come on out and be that. Don't be in front of us and act like a straight up G. And then you get over here and you let these boy bust up your back.
Houston rap duo Underground Kings was at the peak of its career on the charts and on the way to a Grammy nomination when tragedy struck in December.
That's when Chad Butler, known as Pimp C, died in a Los Angeles hotel room.
Cause of death is still pending.
His mom thinks he was poisoned, and there was someone with him when he passed.
Right off the rip, I'm like, what happened? What happened? Like, what happened? And all I get back is, well, he was in his room by himself, and they found him. I'm like, was the door, did it have that thing on it? Like, was it the lock? Like, tell me something.
Just this week, the LA County Coroner's Office ruled the rapper's death accidental and attributed it to a combination of a sleep disorder called apnea, and prescription-strength cough
I
syrup.
don't think the sleep apnea did it because I got sleep apnea, but it never been, you know, that tragic or close to tragic.
Because if the door wasn't locked, that means.
December 29, 1973.
Kind of nose up green. So I'm gonna skip it a little bit.
It wasn't really
The soundtrack to the movie.
this.
The society.
That shit.
The society featured art.
It's not very.
The civil defense plan by Pimp C's less. It's Pascal followed. The double album contained 26 tracks, spanned 2 discs, and featured an even impressive lineup of guests than ever before.
I don't like how it's not showing my radio. So you're right here.
The people in your neighborhood jam, you can make anybody love it. We just stayed true to it, even when, you know, everybody else was doing some different things. That's all, just stay true to what you do.
Unfortunately, the celebration didn't last, as only a couple of months later, tragedy struck not only UGK, but the hip-hop scene as a whole.
The Houston rap duo Underground Kings was at the peak of its career on the charts and on the way to a Grammy nomination when tragedy struck in December.
That's when Chad Butler, known as Pimp C, died in a Los Angeles hotel room. The turnout at his funeral in Port Arthur showed just how much he was loved and admired in this area.
33-year-old Butler was found dead in his Hollywood hotel room on December 5th. The cause of death is still pending.
In early December 2007, Chad had been staying at the Montreal Hotel in West Hollywood, California, where he had been working on new music and performing with a fellow artist, Too Short. On the morning of December 4th, 2007, Pimp C was scheduled to fly back home, where his wife Sonara was waiting with his cousin at the airport to pick him up. After not hearing from him in the morning of the scheduled flight, his wife decided to call the hotel and ask that they check on him. Hotel staff came up to Chad's room and found him completely unresponsive. After several unsuccessful attempts at CPR, Chad Butler, also known as Pimp C, was declared dead at the age of 33. The news of Pimp C's untimely death sent shockwaves throughout the hip-hop scene, leaving thousands of fans devastated, mourning the loss of a beloved icon.
I gotta come pay my respects to a pimp, you know. Grew up on his music, you know. Before 92, since them boys way back in the game, you know. Without Pimp, there's no Bun. Without Bun, there's no Pimp. The boys a duo like Batman and Robin.
The coroner's report ultimately ruled his death to be accidental, attributing it to the effects of Butler's heavy usage of lean, a combination of codeine and promethazine, in conjunction with his pre-existing condition of sleep apnea, which causes people to stop breathing up to 30 seconds at a time while sleeping.
Just this week, the LA County Coroner's Office ruled the rapper's death accidental and attributed it to a combination of a sleep disorder called apnea, and prescription-strength cough syrup. And our guest this morning is Bernard Freeman, known as Bun B. He is one of those who was closest to Pimp C.
Good morning, and thanks for being here. Now, you were one of Chad's best partners, grew up with him. But you're going to be doing a concert tonight.
Yes, I am.
Now, this concert is following the release of the information which says that sleep apnea and syrup, and we know that syrup on the streets usually has codeine.
Absolutely.
When you heard that, what went through your mind?
Well, it was sad, but it's a definitely real thing. You know, living in Houston, Texas, being a person that affiliates with the common man on the street, we all know that in Houston, Texas, we have a problem now with the cough syrup epidemic. And while it wasn't solely the cause of his death, we have to be very real about the consequences to some of these things. Pimp C did have a prescription for it, but you have to be very careful when you get prescriptions for certain things, because sometimes you can tend to go a little too far with some of these things. They have very strong addictive qualities, pills and syrups and whatnot. So to anyone out there, you know, that thinking about sipping syrup or currently abusing syrup, you may want to take a very good look at yourself, a long look at yourself in that cup.
But in this case, we were told that the bottle did not have a prescription label on it.
Right. Well, I wasn't in Los Angeles, so I'm not sure exactly about the bottle itself. But in Houston, on the streets, there is an epidemic with the people sipping the cough syrup, and it's something that's going to have to be addressed.
Butler's body was transported back to his hometown to Port Arthur, Texas, where he was laid down to rest on December 13, 2007.
R.I.P.
The funeral was attended by many fans and residents of Port Arthur, with the mayor, his mother Wesley Monroe, and Bun B being a few of the many speakers at the service. The death of Pimp C sparked tributes from the fans and fellow artists around the world, highlighting his impact on Southern hip-hop and his legacy as a talented rapper, producer, and cultural icon.
Oh man, I had to show my respect, man. Pimp C brought me in the game, you know.
Houston rapper Chameleonaire says Pimp C's talents will be greatly missed in the hip-hop industry.
Man, it's just his personality, man, his spirit, his soul. Like, there's nobody that can duplicate that.
As the shock of the unexpected tragedy was making its way throughout the community, questions surrounding Pimp C's death were starting to arise. The suspicion that maybe this wasn't the case of accidental overdose was starting to become prominent in a lot of people's heads. Too Short, one of the people who saw Pimp C just 24 hours before his death, during an interview with Vlad TV, speculated Pimp C was alone in his room on the night of the murder. Julia Beverly, a woman who wrote a book detailing the life of Pimp C, during one of the interviews, talked about Pimp C's mother Weslyn believing that her son wasn't alone in the room on the night of the murder and was instead poisoned by people present.
But there are some alternate theories which I kind of explore in the book. His mom thinks he was poisoned, and there was someone with him when he passed who was a very shady strange character. So there was actually a person of interest, according to his mother, that she believed had something to do with his death.
The mysterious man believed by Pimp C's mother to be responsible for her son's death was a guy called Buddy.
Yikes.
It is speculated that Buddy was not only present in the room on the night of Chad's death, but also allegedly poured something into his drink, causing him to feel unwell. This theory was seemingly confirmed by Pimp C's cousin, Edgar, during an interview with Super Thai TV.
So tell me about Buddy. Can you?
Buddy, the nigga who killed my cousin.
You got that from a reliable source.
Yeah. Yeah.
Where did you hear?
So, the story I heard, it was multiple people inside the hotel room. Female, I think maybe be a male and another male probably. So
Super Tight exclusive.
So C went to the restroom and Buddy said, look, y'all don't say nothing, I'ma play a joke on Pimp. And he poured something into his drink. And when he came back from the restroom, he started drinking it and almost immediately started throwing up blood. And what made me believe that, I packed C bags after he passed.
From that same hotel
From that
room.
same hotel. I pulled back the cover of the bed and there was blood in the bed. So that's what made me believe that story to be true.
If the mystery of what happened on the night of December 2nd wasn't enough, the autopsy report was also starting to raise questions. While the official statement claimed that the cause of death was
Then
ruled
Larry came to the funeral with a bunch of security.
he accidentally an overdose in conjunction with Chad's pre-existing sleep apnea, the facts just weren't lining up. Pimp C's cousin, the woman who wrote Chad's biography, and one of C's longtime affiliates were all disagreeing with the public statements made by the official reports.
But as far as like physical evidence, I had some other people review the autopsy report and things like that, and they didn't really come to a solid conclusion as far as, you know, any foul play or things like that. But a lot of people have heard that he died of a codeine overdose, which is not true at all.
Damn.
That was actually, you know, the day he passed, or the day that the results of the tests and whatnot were not announced, the coroner said, you know, he did not overdose. And then you had all these newspapers that said that he did overdose. So that was just irresponsible media that came up with that story.
I think it's close to somebody did tamper with my man and
that's crazy.
Take him out the game.
For sure.
I don't think the sleep apnea did it because I got sleep apnea, and it's been years that I didn't even know I had sleep apnea, and I've done, you know, a lot of different things. I'm taller than him, and I'm a bit more was a bit more active, but it's plenty of times I've you know went to bed full of this and that, and I remember sometimes feeling like I'm choking in my sleep.
I've done that. Yeah, I'm choking in my, like exactly what I said.
You actually stop breathing.
You can't breathe. Like you can't even breathe.
And so, but it never been, you know, that tragic or close to tragic. So I don't think he just died off no cough syrup and no sleep apnea.
She's gonna ask some medical questions, and what she's asking is, were no traces or nothing found in the what do you call it, autopsy, or the what's the thing called when toxicology report?
So no, and why I think what messed it up, and I'm going to just say it like this.
Yes.
People did so much maneuvering around the autopsy to protect what was they might have thought was going to show up. So that kind of changed the outcome of what really came out.
In other words, they weren't looking for that.
They wasn't looking for that.
What you think they were looking for? Drink?
They was looking for drink.
And they found small traces of that. Not enough. They did say it wasn't enough to kill. Now, y'all do know they said it wasn't enough to kill him.
Yeah.
And he had a prescription for that. And they tried to blame it on sleep apnea.
Yeah.
And them both is what took him out, is what the coroner's report said.
But you know, Mama died saying my baby was poisoned with cyanide. Her wish was to raise up enough money to have the body exhumed.
Yes.
To do her own independent one. But she died for having that feeling.
On top of all of this, Pimpin' Ken, one of the people who were present at the funeral, claimed that Pimp C looked nothing like he did when he was alive, with his head being twice as big as a regular one.
Man, you know, the crazy thing about that funeral, right? The funeral was big.
Yeah.
But nobody talk about when we went and viewed the body.
Yeah.
Only 100 people was involved. Man, Pimp C head was this big.
Stop it, man.
Are you serious? Man, it was this big, dog. I mean, you know.
He was darker too.
Hey, too.
And he was darker.
His lips would look like plastic. His whole face. So Too Short looking at me. We looking at each other like, you know, and everybody just looking at each other like crazy. We couldn't even believe the shit we were seeing.
With all of the facts being disputed left and right, a lot of the people were starting to believe that Pimp C's death wasn't just a one-off murder, but rather a bigger and more complex inside job. You see, during his career, Pimp C had always stood firm on his beliefs, calling out the music industry and refusing to conform to the current musical agenda solely for profit.
These record labels don't want artists to talk to each other. We get to talking too much, we just might put a union together. And if we unionize, they can't win no more.
Right.
Don't you fools realize that we can get a whole bunch of money together? Didn't y'all just see what happened with Bun Single? Don't you guys understand that if we bring this thing together and put all this old petty, and it's petty, man, it's he said this and this one over here said that, and when you finally boil down, The man ain't said nothing. You know what I mean? Man spit something on a record, and this food over here assume he talking about this one over here. And I'm sitting back watching this. I'm like, man, these boys is tripping. You know what I'm saying?
These claims of Chad's death being an inside job were also discussed by numerous musicians within the industry, including Orlando Brown and Too Short himself.
That's what they do. That's what they didn't want, because he was pulling people together. They killed my brother because he was pulling people together. And they was about to buy. They was about to do black distribution. It's a distribution company on all black music distribution company. Ah man, you taking money out of the industry's pocket.
After more than 15 years, the mysterious details of what happened on the night of December 2nd, 2007 remain unsolved to this day, leaving hundreds of fans around the world grappling with loads of unanswered questions and lingering suspicions. While the death of Pimp C was nothing short of unusual, his spirit continues to live on through his timeless music and the impact that he had on the world of hip-hop. His raw talent, unapologetic honesty, and unwavering dedication to his craft have left an indelible mark on the music industry, inspiring countless generations to come. Rest in peace, Chad Lamont Butler.
Damn, RP. Might come subscribe.
Bye, have a great time.